good day to all you lovely people out there. I'm your host Malkuth, and today we have a fresh new game up on the chopping block. The name is Exogate Initiative. This game is actually all about planning and building an underground research base. So you'll be managing resources, kind of like money and research points. Yep, this game is all about that. Think of it as Evil Genius 2 building mechanics, and also the dungeon series if you guys are OG base builders like me. Yeah, you guys will remember the dungeon series back in the days. Basically, you build a base and there will be enemies coming into your base and trying to ruin all your fun. Yes, you heard me right. There's gonna be not only base building and enemy factions that you can basically go to war with, or you can actually cooperate with. It depends, up to you. And in this series of videos, right, we'll be actually building up a sprawling base, a very big base that will host many teams, and also we'll be creating many important patterns in order to try and keep our base funded, right? Because we need money to actually pay for all the salaries out there. So yes, this game is actually made by Xenobits, which is an indie game studios. So if you like this game, I think it will mean the world to them if you actually wishlist it and buy it during a sale on Steam. Okay, right now I think the spring sale or the autumn sale is on. So yeah, but this is not a sponsored message or pre-product given type of message. I just really like the game and I think they could use all the love they could get out there as indie game studios. But yes, enough rambling. Let's actually get into the game. So we'll be starting a new game. Yes, I have done kind of like a playtesting of sort. So there you go. And we will be going with replay instead of initiation. Initiation, you do get like guiding objectives. So if you are playing this the first time, highly recommended to actually go with initiation. But we'll go with free play this time around. And we will also set the mission event frequency to high so that I will have more things to actually commentate and go through. And more likely than not, the events that you'll be seeing here on video or on camera, right? You guys would be able to see that, hey, it's something that appears inside of your own game, and you guys can pick the ideal options for yourselves if you want to. So yes, we'll go with challenging as the default difficulty over here. I'm not masochistic enough to go with extreme. I do not want to feel pain, at least not here, because I feel pain all the time when I'm streaming on Twitch and playing and dying in real time. But yes, that's besides the point. Alright, we'll start the game with all of these settings, and I'll take away my character model to not block the screen. But yes, hello, I'm your host, and we are now getting in the game. And okay, we are now inside of the game. So yes, as I have said before, this game is very much like the dungeons or like those Evil Genius 2 type of game. Though Evil Genius 2, you have like a cover up front, right, for all your evil plans and stuff. Instead, in Exogate Initiative, you don't really have that type of thing that's going on. Instead, you just have one line where all of your robots and humans, I would say, will actually come down from, right? And you will be actively using this area over here, the gate, to actually send people out to the space system or connecting space system. We'll take a look at that in a little bit, but yes, this is also the point where enemies will actually come through the base to actually surprise you and ruin your time. So always make sure to not build your power station right next to this. I have seen a bunch of people building their power station right next to whatever this is. I always call this the gate. I think that's a gate anyways. But yes, sorry. For those of you that have seen me playing like games like Blood Bar Tycoon before, you guys might notice that the mic is a little bit different and stuff. Yes, I did get a new mic. So I may sound a little bit different. I hope it doesn't ruffle your feathers too much. But yes, I think it's a little bit better anyways. Okay, so right here is our kind of like the beginning corridors that the game have given us. Through my playtesting, right, I have kind of figured out, right, that this area over here, so you can kind of think of this as the center of the base, right? Because the top of the base is actually a lot wider than the bottom of the base for whatever reason. I have no idea why, but it is the case. Oh yeah, by the way, these are builders board. So always at the beginning of the game, go ahead and click on that to actually get more builders. They will definitely come in very handy in due time. So yeah, right now we have the cap of 6. Just get the max that you can. They're very cheap anyway, cheap-ish compared to everything else. Anyways, so yeah, in this game the UI is, well, functional. I would say decent enough. You have the time, which is over here, and also a few speed controls. Although there is one thing I would like better, right? It is to have the speed controls to have like a hotkey of sorts. Right now it doesn't. Only spacebar to actually unpause and pause. So yeah, at the very least there's that. Also we have our money over here, which we have hovered over previously. Our research points, power, which is used to actually power our whole entire base, and also influence source or influence points. So what are influence points used for? You probably can figure out what the rest are used for. Power, of course, is used to power up certain utilities inside of our base that actually requires power. Right now I can't show you that right now, because in order to build the furnitures, right, in this game, you actually need to build the room first, which is, well, it's a choice indeed. Alright, so what are influence? Let me show you real quick. So in order to show you the influence, I will have to go to the star map. And this is the star map over here, where we can actually plan our exploration of the universe basically, and we can claim different planets for us to extract either research points or materials from. If we choose to focus on extracting materials, right, it will actually help with our financial issues. Later down the line, you will definitely see this amount of money. It may seem a lot, it's gonna disappear. So you better brace on it back. And then there is the research points. So most of them will be either research or EXP. EXP for your scientists and, well, employees, let's just say, are researchers. And research points is to unlock stuff for our base building, for our scientists and such. I'll take a look at the tech tree in a little bit though, one by one. So yes, we can connect to different sectors in space in order to actually create like a mission of sort to actually explore the space, right? But in order to explore the space, we need to create a team first, which requires scientists, medics, and soldiers if we want to add all of that. You can definitely just create a team with just scientists, no problem at all. It's just that it tends to be a little bit better if you mix in scientists with soldiers or scientists with medics, because there is a dangerous type of situation, yes. On all of these planets, they can get hurt. So yeah, whenever we connect to the sectors over here, we will be using energy for our base, so it is actually you know, expensive for us, kind of. I'll show you how much it costs to actually get enough power to power the base in a little bit. So yes, so when we actually go ahead and scout a planet and stuff, right, we will come across some types anyways. Biosamples, as said by the game, and specimens, flora and fauna basically. The biosamples are the simpler form where we can basically get more common samples from. And those with space fauna, right? Those are the places where you can get more rare patterns from or samples from, right? I'll go ahead and go over what are those samples for in a little bit, but yeah. Basically, you can get research points or science points from that, and at the same time, you can create patterns from that. And the patterns are gonna be the thing that actually sustain our financial situation. So, enough rambling. Let me just get started with building. So, since we are gonna be playing this for the long term, right? I'm gonna set us up for success over here. So, if you're playing together with me over here is highly suggested, of course, in my books at the very least, to build this area over here, the choke center over here, as like a choke point of sorts. It's a very quick and dirty way of doing things, but I would say this is effective. So what we will do is, this is the wall. We will build walls to wall this in and have our robots to actually mine out this center area. And instead we will just go ahead and actually I can take out this side a little bit more. And in fact I can use up this whole space. Yeah, I can use up this whole space. So what we are thinking of doing, right? Or I am thinking of doing right now is, since enemies will spawn here, right? And they will try to get into our base, which will be protected by this gate of sorts over here, right? We will try to funnel them into the center. So this is kind of like a containment zone, I would say. A containment zone for us before even going into the game and having to, deal with stuff. Before even all of that, we are basically taking care of things before it even happens, because this is kind of like game knowledge. After me playing the game for a good dozen hours, I will say. So yes. So we'll do double doors over here. There is, how do I put it? There is a better way of doing things, but I would say for now this setup will do. Very simple setup, very cost effective setup. Basically, we want the enemy to come from here and enter through this area over here, and our soldiers will be stationed along this line to actually shoot them, preferably not get shot at the same time, but that will come in the later technology. So yes. Okay, so let us just do a little bit of exploration. All right, so this is one thing that you can do in order to find out where all the rock formations is inside of your base, to be honest. If you don't like to do it like that, you can not do this. It's just that I like to actually be able to plan around things. So as you can see, now that I have kind of put a dig terrain order on everything, right? You can kind of see there is some rock formation in this area and this area here, which means our construction will be kind of blocked when we eventually get to building in those areas. So for now, I'm just gonna say this area, I'm just gonna ignore that, as well as this area. So we'll just make use of whatever is alongside here and alongside here in order to actually build our base. By the way, you don't need to, how do I put this, use walls all the time. You can always just dig in a certain way where it resembles a room, kind of like what we are doing over here to actually save money, because every single tile that you want to rebuild back is $1,000, and you may see that that may be a little bit of money only, but yeah, let me just say the costs stack up very quickly here in this game. So really be careful of that. I am not kidding. This is a warning. Alright, this is a warning. Okay, so There is a corridor. After our containment zone, we will have this area over here specifically, I would say, for, what's the word for it? For power. Yes, for power. In fact, right, if I want it to be even more secure, we can join it to a middle corridor, somewhere around here, I would say. So right now, we have a few objectives. We want to build a barracks for ourselves. We're going to build a mess hall, a laboratory, as well as a power plant. These are the basic buildings that you should have. Of course, you don't need to build such a big building like what I am doing right now. Actually, let me just, you know, cover the, like, cancel the order for the parameter over here so that our robots won't just go ahead and mine everything out. Okay, so that's just a marking of sorts. If we need extra space, we can head over there. But for now, you definitely don't need to do this. You can start out small. It's just that because I am used to the game already, I'm gonna build kind of bigger. Alright, kind of bigger of sorts in order to actually plan out for future expansion, I would say. Alrighty, so this is just a very small room over here. It's not actually very small. Yeah, very small is more of like this, maybe 20 or 25 tall. But this is the size of a small barracks if you want to, or mess hall. Definitely not enough for a laboratory, that's what I'm sure. But you can definitely get away with just building like this if you're just starting out and you don't want to, how do I put this? Put too much money into a building all at one go. Alright? This is a game where the money does not come very easily, so always be careful of that, okay? Listen to Malkuth. Don't be big dum dum like I was. Anyways, so yeah, maybe you would want to add in some extra spacing just in case, right? You want to expand it further in the future, or in the future, right? If you really want to just rebuild the whole damn thing, you can just mine away everything or deconstruct the building and add in back the walls and, how do I put this, like, rebuild the rooms. You definitely can do that, but it is really expensive. Let me just tell you that, because when you sell away stuff, you only get 50% of the cost back. Alright, so there's a sunk cost over here. Always be wary of that. Always be careful. Take your time, plan, take it slow. Alright. Don't just go all buckwall like what I'm doing here. Do what I say, not do what I do. I always say that. And of course, you know, in due time, you know. Okay, so this will be the middle corridor, I would say, right? And we will say this will be the door, and this can be like a separate room of sorts. Right. So we can add a door here. Add a door here. Maybe just maybe I'll separate this center with another corridor, just so that I don't need to connect the corridor over here, because allowing the enemy have to have a straight line into our power generators, let me just say that that's a really not a very smart idea. Let's just say that. Let's just put it that way. Alright, it's not a smart idea. Oh yeah, by the way, always construct your corridors too wide at the very least. If you construct it one wide only, yes, people and robots can pass through, but you won't be able to fit like gun racks anywhere you want. So pistol racks and assault rifle racks, those are useful when you want to arm your soldiers for defending your base. So that's one thing I have learned. Probably make a tips and trick type of video for Exogate Infinity if you guys would like to see that. But yes, so yeah, this is roughly the plans for the base, I would say. In fact, I think this is quite good. The only problem is which room will be for which use case. I know this is for power, alright? This over here could either be the barracks or could either be the mess hall or the laboratory. Preferably, I would like the laboratory to be a bigger one. So technically speaking, right, I could just join all of this up and have a giant laboratory here. You know, this shape. And in fact, I actually won't hate that. I'm actually quite okay with that. And then we'll add double doors here. Only problem is that for any other future buildings, right, we'll have to use other areas in order to build this because we are making a use of a bunch of land over here. I think this might actually be overbuilding, so yeah, this probably is overbuilding. I'm going a little bit way too overboard, I would say. So instead, let's cut it down. Yes, let's cut it down. So barracks, they have people sleeping, so I need 3 rooms. 3 rooms specifically. You know what? Mess hall here. Tiny mess hall, right? Tiny mess hall. It's off-centered though. Tiny mess hall here. Actually, I could just do this. Yeah, I could just do this. So tiny mess hall here, and we have barracks down south. And instead of using this space, we'll only use this as the research area. Though definitely I will have to expand it in the future, I would say. Okay, this one is bigger just ever so slightly, so we'll use the bigger one. Yeah, and these 2 rooms will reserve them for future use cases. Yeah, this is kind of like a perfect type of setup for us in the start of the game. So you can kind of see our robots just going ham on all of the terrain right now and digging out of the base. You'll actually be able to take a look at the cost later on once we are done with all the construction. So first episode over here would definitely be just a bunch of, well, tips, tricks, and also kind of like building and cost structures and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I forgot one thing. Before I even start all of this, I should have come to over here. So this is where you can kind of, well, manage your people. So this is kind of like the HR screen of sorts. So you can come to new recruitment campaign over here, click on scientists, and go ahead and say how much you're willing to pay, how long are you going to do the research, and how much you're going to pay for said advertisement. Alright, so one thing I always like to do is set it to the max amount of this, set it to the max amount of budget and the least amount of money, because recurring cost is always going to be very high in this game. Do take note of that. Alright, so you want to hire as cheap as possible. Unfortunately, that is the case in this game. So yeah, and we'll go with, yeah, as many scientists as we can get our hands on right now, because I want to make 2 teams. Yes, you heard me right. 2 teams of scientists at the start. We can always fire them if we have too many. Alright, so we are just gonna try to hire as many of them as we, well, kind of can afford right now. So yes, so we need 3 more. Yes, no, 2 more. We need 2 more, so we can spend just the minimal amount. Yeah, perfect. So you can kind of min-max this if you want to, of course. For me, I think it's a negligible cost, so you can just go ahead. Though the cost does kind of start to stack up. But if you play your cards right, you won't need to do all the min-maxing and stuff. I just realized I just told them to dig out the goddamn walls here. God damn it. Alright. Yep, this is my numero uno screw up already. So we need to put back the walls. Why am I putting back the walls? Well, your rooms over here, right? If they are not walled up or they are behind a door, they actually get a little bit of a penalty. So your personnel inside of those rooms, if they are too open, they get tired much more quickly. So it's really not good for you to have open areas. That's why I'm willing to just spend 5,000 to actually just build it back up. Not a problem at all. And also our bots are doing all the other work. Slowly but surely we're building up this base to resemble what I have in mind, of course. It's going to take a while because we have queued up a bunch of orders, but rest assured it will work out. So over here, this will be our laboratory. Of course, you can already see the cost for the 8,000 for just the beginner laboratory, I would say. We have put our double doors here. Construction is still not done, but I do really want to hire our scientists already. So you can take a look over here. This is the result of our hiring or our advertisement over here. We have Daniel and Connor over here, which is 2,700 per month. I will always say get whoever is cheapest, right? Their stats may be poop or not that good, but you can always train them up in the future so that they can actually be useful to you yourself. Alright? In fact, this Brazilian guy is the rock bottom price here over here. And Ellison Harris? Yeah. Good amount of skills. But regardless, I'm just gonna hire all of them because we need 2 teams of scientists. So you can kind of see the recurring costs already starting to stack up. You can kind of think of this as 3,000 times 6 right now, which is 18,000, if I'm correct. Yes, 18,000. I'll just estimate high instead of estimating low. Well, apparently I can see over here it's 15,000 of sorts. So yes, we do need to pay them every single month, so the cost is gonna stack up slowly but surely. In fact, our construction ain't even done yet. I shouldn't even be hiring them that early, but hey, it's fine. I'm sure I won't regret my decisions, right? Right, maybe. Maybe, just maybe. Anyways, so yes, this will be our energy generation room over here. You can kind of see how much it costs for us to build that room. Yep, the cost is slowly gonna stack on up and it's not gonna be pretty, I can tell you that much. We'll build our mess hall here and our barracks down south. Yes, sir. Okay, this is our research laboratory. In fact, right, with all of them already here, right, I'm gonna do an executive decision and we will start creating our team. So the default name is of course EXO1 and stuff like that. We'll of course give them custom names and stuff. Which I kind of wanted to be honest, during playtesting. I was kind of thinking of doing that, but should I? Nah, we'll keep it to this for now. Maybe I'll create a specialized name for them. But as for sure, all of these will definitely work for now at the very least. So the first person that you assign to a team, right, will automatically become the leader of the group. Right now, the Brazilian guy is in charge of that group over here, and we just assigned him over. So as you can see, still the leader, and someone else basically took over his role here. And you can see what team they are associated with over here with the name and of course the banner. So we're just gonna assign people to the teams for now. So your workers or your scientists over here, right? They actually have relationships as well. So as the game goes on, they develop relationships which you need to balance by either shuffling people around that don't like each other to be in separate spaces so that they don't piss off each other. When they piss off each other, they get a EXP gain reduction modifier. So always take note of that. Don't let that happen too much. So right now we have 2 teams. We will go ahead and send them both to the level 1 sectors over here. This is so that we can actually do our quest very quickly. It's actually recommended for you to go with only one team. Yes, one team at the start. Okay? Instead of going like me, going ham and going crazy. Right. And of course, now that we have sent our people on their duties, you can take a look over here. As you can see, because of team affinity, whether or not they're pissed off with each other, there will be experience gain buff or debuffs. If there is any danger or the level is too high compared to your researchers, they will have an injury chance. And there is also this injury severity which can be reduced by having medics in your team. There's of course some decisions during exploration that you can take or use to actually make it so that going out there is a little bit safer for you if you have like a medic. So if your team gets injured during exploration, oh yeah, I want to show you guys this as well. If they get injured during exploration, right, they will have ability to actually treat them on the spot. Of course, they will take longer to come back from their mission, of course. So yeah, there is that. So every month we will get money for 1 year from the committee. All right, this is kind of like a research committee of sorts where we have a sponsor. All right, the sponsor basically said like, hey, I got all this money and I want to give it to you straight up for research purpose. But then the committee is like, no, wait, we'll help you manage the money because the sponsor themselves don't really know how to safeguard the money, right? And instead, they are holding it kind of as like an endowment fund or a target endowment fund of sorts, right? Where the fund will continuously generate profits and stuff for themselves. Of course, that's actually not in the game. In terms of law, it is though. But yeah, basically the committee is taking charge of the money and slowly giving out to you as an administrator bit by bit. So right now, the committee is covering our salary expenses basically, and we are getting a little bit extra to actually build up our base. So you can see as well, every month there is job popularity. If you are hiring during the month, right, scientists, where there is a debuff, right, you'll find it harder to actually get them. It will be more expensive, you will have to spend more money in the long term and stuff like that, or spend more time. Personally, yes, there is always a way to get around this, but it's a little bit gimmicky, alright? Okay, the next thing is patterns over here. So these are the patterns that I was talking about, where you can basically create kind of like technologies, right? Technologies that will be used here on Earth, which will allow us to get a little bit of profits, and our people are off to the races. And over here you can see how long they will take to actually come back. They'll be back soon, no worries. And once they are back, we'll have fresh new facilities to actually, well, house them in. Yes. So yeah, you can see over here, $1,000 for each of the generator. And we have a whole bunch to build. Oh boy, the cost is gonna stack up real quick, I can tell you that much. So yeah, we'll just build 4 for now, since I don't think we need that much. I don't think anyways. Alright. And over here, this is our research room. We'll start building kind of like a skeleton of sorts to be ready for the potential of needing research. So yes, we'll have research desk. So yeah, as you can see, in order to build, we need to click on the room itself to actually build. You can't take a biosample containment and put it in the generator room. So that's kind of why you have to pay for all of these tiles. They do get expensive over time though. Okay, so this is the pattern writing console. It is very useful for you to generate money basically. You'll definitely need it. If you don't build it, well, get ready to become broke. Not kidding. Alright, I'm not kidding. You will become broke. Anyways, let me just shift things around. I just realized that the building The way I'm building things is not correct. Alright, we'll put 2 pattern building labs console. Yes, consoles over here, and we will have the biosample research desk. To be honest, I would much prefer building it, you know, side by side. It will help me conserve space, but hey, think this should be the way to go, right? Just use this corner, and we have 2 containment areas. If nobody is doing the research, if they are doing the research, we won't really need all that containment. So yes, and our scientist is actually back. So usually there is like story elements to the game, but in this case there wasn't. I don't know why I set it too high already, but hopefully we will get more of that I can show you guys. But in the meantime, we get 2 biosamples from this. Our scientists get a little bit of XP, so hurrah. And they will drop off their specimens inside the containment area. So for their bunk beds, oh well, we haven't unlocked that one yet, so can't build that one just yet. But your regular beds, we'll build them right over here. So right now, I just built them. This is actually not the ideal way to actually build a barracks. Truth be told, this is really not the ideal way, because the building for the barracks is a little bit funny or funky. So you can't actually, right over here, you can't actually put them side by side like that, like this, even though they actually have a place to enter, which is really weird, because I can do it if I put it on the corner of the wall, which is like, why? Tell me why again? No clue. But for now, at the very least, we will have to, well, obey the game, alright? And build up a base that is for our researchers over here. So right now we have 6, so we'll build just 6 over here, and we need lockers for them to actually keep their belongings, right? Yep. Put 1 over here and 1 more bed. And this is a kind of a space for 7 people. Perfect. For 7 people, in fact. So yes, sir. You can unlock much more space efficient buildings for your barracks later down the game. So for now, we'll just bear with that. Okay, let me adjust the screen and we will build our mess hall. Yes, sir. Our mess hall like this has enough tables and chairs for everyone already. And we'll build 3 food dispensers for everyone to use, just so that we have some stockpiles that we can use, and people won't kind of just stand around waiting for the food to be resupplied. And get 2 more biosamples from our green team over here, Exo 2. Let us build these 2 gates as well. Okay, so I think people are gonna get to research. Yep, people are getting to research since they don't really have much to do over here. So once they research the biosamples and stuff, correct, they will actually unlock stuff like samples. So over here, we need to discover scientific theories first. Yes, yes. So over here, I always call them samples, but it's actually theories. You unlock different theories and you need to combine them in order to make your patterns. The most effective way to actually gain from building these patterns of sorts is to build with 5. Alright, 5 different patterns together. So we'll just show you in a little bit after we actually build up all of our stuff. Yes, the food is still coming in. People are still trying to drop off their biosamples actually. In that sense, then let me just, use my executive decision to just build a few more of these. it's fine. Well, we'll eventually need to expand or basically convert another one of the rooms to become a laboratory later down the line anyways. So that is fine indeed for now. So yep, we built more areas over here for them to put the samples, but they are now slowly but surely using the samples to do their research. They're eating their food, they're resting, they're chit-chatting with each other. Very nice. And we have enough power to go around. Always need to be careful of running out of power, because you always need to plan ahead of time. If you run out of power, basically you can't continue to do your exploration into space, and that is no bueno. Alright, that is no bueno. So right now they are doing the research over here. Since they're doing their research already, I'm just gonna queue them up to be sent off. So just now they have done a few of the research. So this is the theory that I'm talking about. They are very specific to the topic itself. So if you click on the topic itself, you can come over here and click up to 5 theory. Always do 5 theory because you get a bonus for actually doing that. In terms of the number of theories, you get a lot more money for doing that. And also try to not dilute the overall pattern quality too much. If not, you won't get as much money. Always try to control it a little bit, I would say. Alright. So yeah, same thing for food source as well. So every month there is a different boost and debuff for different topics in terms of patterns. So that will come in useful later down the line when we need a lot more money. In fact, I have been spending a lot of money already. But hey, it is fine, I swear. Okay, so the game is talking about claiming and scientific expedition. Basically, once we explore a planet, we can claim it to actually set up scientific expeditions, which will continuously allow us to get research points. And also for mining, if we ever find any anyways. And also claiming it actually protects the home planet. So we want to make sure that no other aliens basically that we will find later down the game actually surrounds us and actually drives our faction unity down. They can actually do that. So always make sure to at least capture all of the tiles around or surrounding your home. Alright? Alright. So we are just gonna connect to new places. Oh yeah, by the way, forgot one thing. You can always disconnect for spaces that you have already connected to before in order to save on power. So always make good use of that to lower your power overhead cost. Yeah, I suppose I would word it as such. So yes, we'll send them both off to more missions to get more samples. They will go off after they finish the research. So no problem with that one. Gated loneliness, yeah, it's fine. Basically, don't leave only one person inside of the base. It gets bad for them. Alright, it gets bad for them. So yeah, they are slowly but surely heading to the gate area. So yep, we get 2 more samples. Keep calling the samples theories. Get 2 more theories and we will send these guys off as well. Okay, so this is a good chance for me to actually talk about research. So we'll end this video off talking about research. So this is the research tree in this game where you can go into different build menus and actually take a look-see. So for builder boards, eventually you will have to expand the number that you need to actually maintain this whole entire base. And if you unlock this, you will be able to dig out the big rocks that are in the middle of your base, which is really nice. Alright, so that's one. Other stuff like power plant, it gives you better buildings, which is much more space efficient, which gives you more power. They do cost a little bit more. Med base, which is useful for healing your personnel, which I would highly recommend getting this as the priority number 1. And then after that, getting the recreation room then getting a training room, and then the operations room, and then the workshop. Why in this order? So, med bay to actually make sure that your scientists and employees are always healthy to go on missions. Okay. Number 2 will be rec room to make sure that they can actually recover for their mental health from any psychic damage. A training room to actually unlock security and soldiers, which is very useful. Operations to unlock the recurring scientific exploration, which will come in useful as you run out of places to actually discover, right? Because your levels can't actually keep up with with the exploration. Yes, that will come in to play in a bit in a later episode. And over here is the workshop, where basically you get to extract ores and then craft them into bars, kind of like selling iron bars, copper bars in different other games to actually get some profits. And by the way, those are very useful. So if you would want to, right, always keep a stockpile of them to actually trade with factions, right? So that they're much more willing to negotiate, let's just say. Okay? So that's all for this episode. I'm your host Malkuth, and for this series at the very least, so now is a little bit of the ending talk. I'm thinking of doing these episodes with a shorter duration, probably like a 40-minute or a 30-minute type of episode instead of our 1 hour type of episode in Blood Bar Tycoon, since I think it will be a little bit more digestible for all of you out there to actually watch. But yeah, do let me know if you guys would like to continue having like the 1 hour episodes, or instead you would prefer to have the 40-30 minutes type of episode, though I can make the 40 to 30 minute episodes much more frequently, right? And we have a mission unlocked over here that I can talk about, but we'll go over this in the next episode. Alright, I'll see you guys then. Bye. Bye bye.